We use AI to make educational content about AI.
Very high bar.
The goal is to build a successful company. Winner takes it all.
Last I've heard was 50.
What were your criteria?
The group was really small. Since then, over the last 10 years, I work in this space.
Good to be Switzerland. So this is not about time, this is about attention.
And your team is small, right?
Which is the best.
And Meta is likely to be a loser.
Valley dreams in pieces laid behind the scenes, the price they've paid. We study close, reveal what's real, deconstruct truths unsealed.
Welcome to our podcast. So this is Deconstructed VC. We're trying to deconstruct companies, lots of engineers when they're children, they like to take things apart. Radios and other stuff. We like to take businesses apart and try to reassemble them back together and see what spare parts we got.
And maybe inspire other first-time entrepreneurs to also do startups.
And also maybe inspire somebody to join your team. So today we have Alex Mashrabov. Is it Mashrabov or Mashrabov?
Both works.
Both works, okay. That's how you tell a founder is humble. So Alex Mashrabov is CEO and founder of Higgsfield AI, an absolute breakout company that is taking the world of AI video by storm, and also other weather effects.
As Nick mentioned, usually we deconstruct the current businesses of our portfolio founders, but your story is very inspiring even before that. And we maybe can start from the beginning, from the previous journey.
Oh yeah, so you started, I think the latest I found you worked at Yandex, and you were working on machine learning for natural language and for search, like beam search. That was a pretty cool thing back then. Now, all of the AI agents, when they search, they look different things and they try to split queries. But you did it way back. How was it at Yandex, and how did you end up at Yandex?
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. Yandex is a natural choice for all the ex-ICPC guys to join the company because the code base is written in C++, it requires really low latency, and people with Olympiad background can really thrive there. So that's where I started. I started really in the space of fixing misspelling in the search queries. So it's an overlap between language translation and search. Interestingly, I very quickly saw that most talented people across both departments are very interested in something new. Not like cut boost, but really neural nets. I tried to be part of this community. The group was really small, maybe up to 20 people. Back later in 2017, 2018, this technology was heavily used for Alisa, and now these people are primarily out of Yandex and working for Anthropic, Meta, and OpenAI. I think I didn't realize back then how neural nets are powerful. In 2014, it was not clear, but we got some breakthrough results where we were able to surpass Google language translation from Russian to English with neural nets, while it wasn't possible with gradient decision trees. And then I think the major enlightening moment for me was in 2015, when all these systems for face recognition got deployed widely in airports, in banks, and ultimately those systems are trained in a way where they learn to distinguish AI-generated contents and real contents. And that propelled the space of AI-generated imagery, and this completely took over and then since then, over the last 10 years, I work in this space.
So before doing AI Factory, you worked in another startup first. So how did you become a founder?
I think in Yandex, it was not fully clear how the company wants to transition to neural nets. And I think even back then, many people were leaving the company. Some of the people who were pioneering neural nets, they were probably not happy, very happy as well. So I thought I need to look for opportunities outside. I think back then it was relatively clear that the space of the mobile apps is growing. I think back then it was relatively easy to get to a few million ARR and like cash flow positive with mobile apps, and we decided to do some of that. So the first app which we developed back then, I think the team was just maybe 10, 11 people, and the app was very simple. It allowed, let's say, schoolers to take a photo of their homework and get solution. That's where I learned the first rule of venture, really. And the rule is very simple: winner takes it all. The company called Photomath, the company from Croatia, they were number one. And let's say our app was like number 2 or number 3 in this category. But they were probably 10, 20 times bigger than we were. And that showed us that this asymmetry, which is created in the technology markets, where like winner takes it all. And I think we essentially in 20...
Can we maybe dive into this concept? Like, why does winner take it all?
I think I'm not very good in economic theory. I just think this is just a sort of an empirical rule. Like, I think this happens with all the markets, even like Uber versus Lyft is another example. And I think the only sort of an exception here can be probably cloud markets, where Amazon is in a dominant position but has less than 80% of the markets. That's probably the only exception. But probably the reason of this exception is that Google and Microsoft were burning cash to really catch up. So because they could do that. In venture, I think it doesn't work this way.
I think also what might work there is that there's companies that are already first, they have momentum, and it's cheaper for them to attract capital, it's easier for them to hire better people, and it's cheaper for them to do marketing. So a lot of like word of mouth goes like, so I think this is true. This is really the case in consumer. So what happened to your app? Like you felt it was too expensive to compete with Photomath?
Photomath was doing very well, and I think we kind of came to the points where we have to go beyond that. We had several M&A opportunities, although it felt like there is an opportunity to expand. And there were several directions. First is there is an app called Google Classroom. It took really well in 2017, and it felt like, oh, there should be an opportunity. And there was I think it was back then, it was Obama administration. They pushed really hard with iPads and Chromebooks in many schools, and really make the whole process more electronic. At least it felt this way back then. And we were trying to see if we can be part of this ecosystem. The answer is no. We couldn't find a way. Then the second direction was to really partner with companies like Chegg, which is famous for textbooks rental. And we explored many ways to cooperate, including M&A. It didn't work out. And the third direction, which we're really excited about, is to build AI to not just solve equations, but really focus on the word problems. So back then, transformers were not very strong. There was no GPT-3-like model to solve those problems. So we just essentially were not able to deliver on R&D side, and had to switch. And this was the reason why we had to kind of start another company.
So you started AI Factory.
Yes, with Victor.
With Victor and with Greg.
And yes.
What inspired the idea?
So we did a lot of research related to how to run neural nets on device. This was truly unique. I think no one else had this experience. And you know that Victor is he is definitely into all these face effects, all this viral growth, and it felt like the right symbiosis between like the experience which we have and his business and product experience. And I think this materialized very quickly in our first product, which was the SDK for stickers with people faces. I think we had a lot of, I think it's called tailwinds, where Jiffy was growing very quickly. There was another company called Jiffy Cat. And since Meta tried to acquire Jiffy, it created a lot of momentum on the market, a lot of interest in services like ours Tenor was acquired by Google in 2018, I think. So that's eventually we got this nice exit to Snap.
That was 166 million in 2019.
Yes. I think it's part of that is cash, part of that is stock. Interestingly, Snap stock went from 15 at the time of the deal to almost 80
Oh, wow.
during the zero interest times peak. And now it plummeted down to maybe 7. So the stock is...
Part of the reason I think Snap is trading where they're trading is their Evan's stance on AI. And so you were leading generative AI and my AI product at Snap. You kind of created it. What do you feel it was like at the time starting something within this relatively large, enormous company to launch a product used by millions of people?
We invested a lot in running neural nets on device. And I think this was a really hard realization that we need to start from square one. Snap didn't have the same level of cloud exposure and cloud infrastructure to train or run models at really high scale. Snap had a very, very good infrastructure, and I hope still has very good infrastructure to serve recommendation models. But with the recommendation models, the patterns are quite different compared to LLMs, image or video models. Because ultimately, when we run these personalization models for ranking purposes, one of the key parts is actually calculating the embeddings for each user and really plugging this embedding really effectively in the personalization engine to produce personalized results. So this is a different type of the workflow compared to let's say LLM or diffusion transformers. The shocking moments for me was that I learned that back then ByteDance had tens of thousands of H100s
NVIDIA GPUs.
in only in GCP.
Oh.
So I just learned that many companies, they did this infrastructure build up even before the ChatGPT era. This was truly surprising to me that many companies were actually investing already a lot and they already have an infrastructure to run this. So that ultimately, whenever new stable diffusion model from Stability was coming out, TikTok was naturally positioned well to run this in clouds, as they had the infrastructure ready, but also tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of GPUs. Even back then, we talk about early 2023. I think it's still an important question is if AI is going to disrupt their business. And the answer is probably yes, as humans, more and more humans feel comfortable connecting with AI. And the Snap purpose is to connect friends, and I think AI is taking part of that. And then the second question, if Snap thinks this is valuable, then how to do this in cash flow positive manner, given that the company financial performance is, let's say, below Meta. Snap has gross margin maybe 55, 60%, while social media companies, typically other companies, they're at 75% plus. I think those are still important questions for Snap, which they are working through.
So you decided to quit around end of 23?
Yes, it was September 2023. It was an interesting moment of time where other maybe AI believers, some of the other AI believers left. I think notable, it's probably notable to mention that Jack Brody left, who is now CPO at Suna. Lots of other companies in the video AI space, HeyGen, Creatify, Captions are all ex-Snap alumni.
So the story continues, same as with Yandex. It's a bunch of people who are early believers in AI and then generative AI leave a bigger company and start lots of amazing things.
There is definitely a little bit of that. And I think but it also really comes down to the maybe problems which we all experienced. I think the key takeaway from me was that TikTok was the first to build this seamless video playback experience and recommendation. And I think TikTok, within maybe a year or so, showed to the whole world that we moved from images to videos. While for Snap, there was massive investment to improve the playback, but it took year or even more to provide the same level of user experience as TikTok had even in 2019, 2020. And I think we all kind of are traumatized by that, right? Because I mean, you go back 2019, TikTok was actually advertising on Snapchat and spending a lot by any means. And fast forward, end of 2022, average teenager in the United States spend more time on TikTok than on Instagram and Snapchat combined. Oh, wow. So I think the public stats are like 40-something minutes on Instagram, 27 minutes on Snapchat, and 90 minutes on TikTok. And that's in the United States. In the United States, huh?
Per day.
Per day.
Wow.
And I think in other parts of the world, TikTok can be over 120 minutes, while like the numbers for Snapchat or Instagram could be lower as they have less relevant content. I think, so TikTok, another thing which they did really well is like kind of covering various niche subgroups of users so that each niche subgroup feel really connect with each other. And there are like hundreds of micro trends originating on TikTok and maybe dying the same day, but they were the one who really made it work. And I think just the recommendation engine, content supply plus playback experience and aggressive growth spent on user acquisition allowed them to get ahead of Instagram and Snapchat within just 2 years.
That's insane.
Talking about the future, so you left Snap, and we know firsthand that you were particularly trying to look for a co-founder. So why co-founder? Why not doing alone? Why not doing solo? And what were your criteria for co-founder?
Yeah, it's so funny that you ask this question pretending like you didn't help me with that, right? Or like, oh, Alex, we heard about that. So obviously, I appreciate that you allow me to tell the story. So maybe you kind of allow me to kind of hide some maybe problems which were there, right? Not talk publicly. But I guess, yes, so you remember that in 2023, we were talking about like various companies, how you see the space. And I think back then I had a strong conviction that this is a completely new era. And it's gonna be just hard to like learn everything from scratch. And I was asking you for any references, anyone whom you know, who really had this experience of working with either reinforcement learning or with these sort of diffusion transformers. And there were several people whom you connected me to. And I think it was truly exciting to see that companies like OpenAI and Meta, they were very much aggressively going after the same talent pool. Ultimately, I realized that the space is just getting accelerated very quickly. So I have never seen this much investment going to R&D project in my life.
It's also scary. But so the question is, why, in the first place, why did you decide to work with a co-founder on a new startup and not just solo?
And I think that question is very important for a lot of founders because they trying to make the decision, trying to understand like benefits from like.
Also, can you find a co-founder? Like,
it really comes through network as you helped me to connect with Yerzad, right? I think we were connected to Yerzad from many different angles, but I think definitely your effort was critical to make it work finally. Back then, it felt to me that placing the bets at the right layer is going to be critically important. And it's important to have someone who actually is training those models day to day to appropriately position ourselves in the whole ecosystem.
but you didn't consider just hiring people, like not, co-founder level, just saying, okay, because you had so much experience. You had a super successful exit, like a stellar career. I think lots of VCs would just back a startup with you as a solo founder.
Yeah, and I think we all probably can acknowledge that there is a tendency in Silicon Valley to fund people who are in Silicon Valley. So definitely a lot of our seed fundraising was really like driven by my past accomplishments. And I think although fundraising is important, the goal is to build a successful company. And fundraising is a function of the quality of the team, the market, the vision, and the actual progress. So that's it's good that I checked some boxes on the team side, but making real progress and mapping out the markets and making the right bets is still more important than just past credentials. So that's why I felt like I need to partner with someone who really deeply understands the space.
That is a really good answer. How many? Let's switch to Higgsfield now. So, can you tell us in like a one-liner what is Higgsfield?
The one-liner, it is like our goal is to build video engine for content creation on social media. So why, and that's me maybe like go word by word. So why I say video? Because video is way more valuable than any other part of content, than any other type of the content on social media, as it's easy to consume and it drives higher ROI, higher sales, higher engagement than images. Why I say engine? When I say engine, I think it's important to acknowledge that the market is just not consolidated in terms of the tools which smaller players and bigger players use. Mm-hmm. We all know a lot of famous mobile app companies coming from, let's say, Cyprus. And those companies, they can run thousands of ads every day. A/B test was performs well and really continuously iterates every day. And the media buying for them happens fully automatically. It's like similar to trading, meaning that algorithms do most of the trading, most of the operations, but the key decisions needs to be made by humans. Mm-hmm. So like the same type of trading terminals also exist for these performance marketing companies. And they also have the creative machines who make like thousands of videos every day. While smaller players, they really struggle to make any content for social media. So for us, really making an engine so that smaller players can also make, let's say, tens of, like maybe experiment with thumbnails, maybe experiment with hook in the video, and really connect the content creation process and the metrics. I think that's what we call engine, and we think this is a net new product which never existed in the space, simply because content creation was never possible with AI before.
Taking out a camera and actually filming something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the third piece, which is very important, is social media. We do believe that fundamentally social media is driven by, it has just very different rules. First of all, it requires to produce several pieces of content a day. It requires to publish content daily. And the lifespan of content is just maybe 1 day at max 3 days. Mm-hmm. So it all is very different from, let's say, so this like professional social media use case, social media marketing is completely different from consumer use case, which is just trend driven. And it's completely different from TV ads or Hollywood, where the timelines are still measured in months, regardless of if AI is used or AI is not used. The timelines in this segment of the market is measured in months. And I think so social media marketing is $1 trillion industry today, and it naturally has this, like let's say, pattern of daily usage. That's why it's a very compelling market to go after, in our opinion.
Yeah, and as the user usage of web diminishes, people still spend lots of time in this walled garden of Meta and the walled garden of TikTok, watching videos and being bored, so being ready to learn something new, see a new product. Lots of video AI companies were started around the same time, actually even slightly before you started Higgsfield.
You already mentioned.
So going after the same field after 5 companies have raised like tens of millions of dollars in it, was it a hard decision? Was it calculated?
Yeah, that's, by the way, a very good point. And I think this is a key learning for me. And I think that really talks a lot about the early stage investment, right? When I look at early stage investors, a lot of people told us that, look, it's going to be very competitive and you need to pick like very differentiated space. You need to have very differentiated product because it looks like a red ocean. And this is part of the reason why we try to do some other things as we try to come up with like some differentiated product, which so that's in terms of like, so that's from the eyes of VCs, we are in a completely new market. But I think it's important to acknowledge that this type of the thinking didn't work well for us. And there are other types of VCs who really just believe in the team and believe that they will figure this out. And I think you are this type of early stage VC, right? And I think so for us, it was very important to sort of just, while there are like so many companies in the video AI space, we just realized that no one actually goes after the social media content creation. No one really goes after social media marketing, and we can well differentiate. But it definitely took us over last month, since we launched on March 31st, we got to over 100 million run rates.
100 million now.
100 million run
Well,
rates.
the last I've heard was 50.
Yes, but it's last month is 60% month-over-month growth. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, so we really grew very quickly, and I think we just sort of rebuilt the whole team internally to really be so that everyone is passionate about the space.
And your team is small, right?
It's not small anymore. I think the team is approaching roughly 70 people today.
Oh wow.
Still quite small.
Yeah.
For
your numbers, it's still very small.
As long as you are over $1 million ARR per person,
Yeah,
it's good.
it's very good.
But yeah, it's I doubt you can hire as fast as you can grow.
You're absolutely right. So I think as we are maturing as a company, today is the day when we launch our team plan. So it's not just a B2C offering, it's offering for teams to collaborate. So beyond, so that we give more reasons for users to use the platform beyond just content creation, because content creation burns credits, and we provide limited amount of credits, and then which leads to some of the users churning. So by building these collaboration workflows, we give more reasons for teams to stay and use even without producing new content, because a lot of work is not just to make content, but also to review together, discuss the plan, do basic project management. So while we have seen companies like Frame.io succeeding in pre-AI era in that space, we hope to upgrade the workflows and make them native for teams which are AI first. I think the complexity of the business is just increasing, and there are going to be several more B2B products which we will be releasing by the end of the year. For us, the complexity of running the business increases, and definitely hiring people who have this direct experience is important.
So now I think everyone clearly realizes that the space you're after is much bigger than other spaces that people envisioned when they when you think about a video company. You think, okay, Hollywood, visual effects, like doing content for Netflix. But this market is incomparably smaller than social media and social media ads. Do you think a lot of your competitors are going to be switching? Do you think a lot of incumbent companies are going to be going after the same thing now?
That's a really good question. And I think this is where I'm glad that you are saying that, and because I think a lot of other companies in the space, let's say Runway, they attracted more capital than anyone else, and they really tried to reinvent the Hollywood business, while there is no successful technology company built on top of the Hollywood usage, really, in terms of the usage in Hollywood. And the interesting part is that one of the arguments is that Adobe has Adobe Premiere, which is used in Hollywood, while I think most of their revenues really is accounted for Photoshop. And I think even Adobe Hollywood doesn't drive most of the value for Adobe. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, it's important to really appeal to the state of the market today, where, as you said, social media marketing and social media ad layer are 100 times bigger than software for Hollywood. And I think today in the space of social media marketing, we're already number one in the space. So I think Runway is in a completely different type of the business, because they go after Hollywood, they train own models, and they are incentivized to spend a couple $100 million to catch up with Google and OpenAI in terms of the pure model capabilities.
Which is a weird thing for a startup to do, but that's my opinion. Can you give us like an example of like a creator, like a user journey? Like, is it, where did it come from? What do they normally do with the product? Is it mostly web? Is it mostly app?
Yeah, so I mean, another key decision for us was to abandon the mobile app initiative. We are not seeing the patterns of usage changing with AI, meaning that mobile apps are famous for really high churn. We see the same thing. Most of the usage is coming from desktop. We have mobile web version, but it's maybe less than 20% of usage. So most of the usage is driven by professional social media marketers. There are sort of two types of customers. First is like smaller marketing teams, maybe up to 10 people today. And our goal within the next 2 months to make sure that Higgsfield is a good destination for larger marketing teams as well. And those teams, they very often do storyboards with AI. And last week we released the first model in the world which can actually do the full storyboards, which is called Higgsfield Keyframes. Sora is doing everything at once. It basically is doing a lot of things like implicitly, meaning that they take a prompt, they produce a script, they make like let's say a storyboard, they generate all these segments, they compile them together, and then they add audio. But it's amazing consumer products, but the quality is not really high for professionals, and there is not enough control as well. We think that Sora is in a different market.
They're trying to go after, TikTok.
Yes, they're going after TikTok. And I think so for these more like professional marketing teams, Higgsfield provides the model and also the workflows. And I think this accounts for like 60% of usage, roughly. 40% of usage is driven by AI enthusiasts. So by AI enthusiasts, I mean like people who just try to make sense out of AI, try various tools. I bet they try Midjourney as well. What happens is naturally, Midjourney has access to only their model. We provide access to all the models. And this is a big differentiator.
There's, in a market with lots of participants and lots of channels, it's always, good to be Switzerland.
It worked well for Perplexity and Cursor. Yes, it's important to acknowledge that we take a lot of inspiration from these two companies because they operate in a way more mature space, and they are clearly one of the key winners, just pure out of the traction, and we take a lot of inspiration from their work.
Before you got to this incredible exponential growth, which has like happened in the last 9-10 months, you spent about a year working on the product, figuring it out. You tried a bunch of different, avenues. Can you tell us a little bit more, like what did you try? What learnings you got from there?
There are several things which we try to do. First and foremost, we really try to make sure that I think it's important to kind of start with maybe the general overview that a lot of VCs and people in the market are going to say, oh, we don't understand who uses Midjourney. Midjourney is really, it's not like clear who actually uses that. It's like hobbyists. They come one time a month and leave. It's not a VC. It's not a venture capital.
It's not a venture capital.
Not sustainable.
Yeah, and I think we got very much, and that's probably on me, we got very much distracted by this talk, simply because in the end of the day, the data which you get allow you to learn very quickly. Since the space is evolving so quickly, there is no better way to learn than getting direct feedback from your users. So I think ultimately, the rules of building companies do not change with AI, as you need to build something which users need. And sometimes the adoption may be driven first by hobbyists, which we have seen in 2024. Today, it's driven by these very small groups of professionals, people who are making money with social media, and it's obviously going up the chain. And I think we just were trying to look at, we were looking at some other areas where we did not get much commercial traction, but we learned a lot. One of the spaces is the performance marketing, and also performance marketing specifically for the space of the short-form dramas. Because, I mean, we learned that the value of content creation itself is relatively low. Like short-form dramas, they learned how to make a minutes of content for a cost of around $1,000, which is 2 magnitudes lower compared to TV and Hollywood. While they can spend maybe 30K, 100K to make 100-minute long drama, the leading companies are gonna spend tens of millions of dollars to promote the best performing dramas. And they're gonna burn money very quickly on like Facebook, AppLovin, Moloko, TikTok, very quickly within a period of like maybe 20, 30 days. And they will be making tens of thousands of ad creatives, and there are gonna be one which takes it all, which is gonna take like tens of millions of the ad budget. Interestingly enough is this process of like improving ad performance is pretty much data driven. So like if you see that the drop off is like on the second number 8, then you can like use AI to improve the conversion rates. And I think this all gave us a lot of insights on like how AI video systems will revolutionize social media advertising, really connecting data, let's say platform management, because today it really has to go, because I mean content today has to go through all these various social media networks and the content creation. It was never possible before to make like one pipeline combining all these 3 aspects, and it's gonna be exciting to see in the next 2 years someone is gonna do that. Hopefully it's Higgsfield. And then this company is gonna be legit participants in these $1 trillion markets. A very popular objection to that is to say, oh, like, look, how like Higgsfield, whoever else, you bring any startup name, is gonna even remotely compete with ByteDance and Google. Historically, Google and ByteDance have the strongest AI teams in the world, more distribution than anyone else. And the answer to that is that they're gonna be the winners, but they're gonna be losers. And Meta is likely to be a loser, because they have very well optimized ad marketplace today, which is going to be completely disrupted in the world where most of the content is generated with AI. And while there are going to be winners and losers in this space, there is a place for Switzerland, AI video Switzerland, to really like orchestrate and really help smaller teams to make sense of maybe 10 various ad networks which exist out there. Using AI. While Higgsfield is focused today on the video generation, we do a lot of work behind the scene on agentic workflows and video understanding as well.
So you're collecting the data that Google doesn't have. Like they have YouTube, but they don't quite know what videos, how people make videos with AI, how they perform. And they'll have to like learn pretty much from the same point as you.
You're absolutely right. I think so. Also, what's important to acknowledge is that Google is clearly #1 company in that space today. They completely turned it around. While they had a lot of problems with the initial launches of their AI chatbot, now they have pretty good Google Flow is a very good product for V0 for a large company. They have very fast iteration speed for VO model, for like image models like Nano Banana. It's all truly exciting. Although we see the usage across all the various use cases, and I can tell you, while it's probably true that across like 11 domains which we track, subdomains, it partially overlaps which you see at Marina or artificial analysis. The data on these public benchmarks is representing like human choice. Although we have real data, we have data like how often users actually download the video. So this is way stronger feedback loop compared to anyone else. And we see that maybe across 5 domains out of 11, Google is the leader, but it's not the leader across all 11 domains. And we collect this data. We actually know which model is better for which use case and how it should be like prompted, or like how it should be chained to get really high success rates.
Taking into account your strategy that it would be way beyond just video creation, who you will be looking for your team?
Absolutely. So I think we are looking for first principal thinkers and very energetic people who are excited to figure this out, how the space is going to evolve. It's very interesting to see that the whole marketing approach is also being completely different from the way how it was done before. A lot of content really has to be educational as the interest in video AI surges, and there is just not enough educational materials how to use it. So it's so interesting that we use AI to make educational content about AI to talk about how to use AI, right? So
That's the loop.
yeah, that's the loop, right? So the goal of marketers today is not just to understand the distribution channels and the hooks and the topics which work out well, which is still very important, and all of that is getting automated through AI platforms for social media listening, but also change this all in agentic workflows. So like Higgsfield marketing today is run very heavily with agents. It's true that sometimes it backfires when we work with like some top profile creator and there is like this ChatGPT type of the response and then they become pissed, but that's really what's happening is like the marketing is getting fully automated and completely reimagined. And as we build this marketing machine internally, we are going to push more and more of these workflows in our products. So in some sense, we are the users of our own products.
Which is the best.
Which is the best, yes. So at Higgsfield, we very quickly amassed like billions of reach on social media, more than all the competitors combined. And I think we just try to make this self-reinforcing viral growth loop where we use AI to make content about AI. We use AI to do the social media listening, to get all the insights and find the best distribution channels. Again, there is a downside of like also connecting to some of the creators using AI, which people are not happy about. But and then once this content is getting distributed, this content goes viral. It helps to increase awareness. It drives more people on the platform, and it closes these viral loops. And I think over the time, as like our own marketing workflows mature, it's going to be part of the main product. And I think historically, the marketing technology companies, they took a lot of time to take off, really a lot of time. And it's so interesting to see that the platforms like OpenAI agents, seeing that NA10, while they were not designed initially for marketing purposes, they're being heavily used for marketing purposes. So the rules how marketing technology companies are being created, those rules are being completely overwritten today. And I think we all also see a very interesting opportunity in front of us where we actually train models, even today we train models to drive higher download rates and higher engagement rates. As we like kind of pull the data back, like of content generated with Higgsfield, we can run reinforcement learning to actually improve the performance of content.
It's really cool. So your team is now 70 people.
Yes.
Roughly breakdown, who does what? How many people in like which department?
I would say in G&A we have maybe 3 people.
Okay, not too many.
Not so many on G&A. Recently I did an analysis, by the way. Most of the companies, even Perplexity, 11 Labs, Cursors, they all have like G&A team very lean, like typically way under 10 people. It's surprising to see. And I think AI automation and all the procurement process, invoice automation is also tremendous. And I think we are scaling our growth team very quickly, and we like to have like we really like to hire young people with founder mentality, that they are willing to take ownership over some channel, let's say Reddit, LinkedIn, and so on, and then figure out this marketing workflow, and then really automate that and work across the whole company to build end-to-end workflow. This has been very productive for us. So we had maybe 2 people on the growth side in July, and now this team is 10 people. And I think we typically try to have maybe 2-3 people on each channel. But the number of channels is actually getting to 10 as we are going from like more like this, as we are mixing viral marketing alongside with tutorials and educational materials. So the number of our initiatives grow, and I think we are always happy to work with people with founder mindsets who really want to think from the first principles and reimagine the workflows for a specific channel.
So your next 100 deploy also will be somehow connected with growth?
Yes, yes, I think that the next 10 hires, out of the next 10 hires, more than half is going to be related to growth. As we are building all this automation, and this automation eventually flows into the core product. And I think marketing teams are, by definition, are the users of the product internally. And I think,
beta testers.
yeah, they're the beta testers for sure. And I think marketing team is also becomes a very useful channel to solicit feedback from other top creators, but also from the creative partners to keep improving the product.
What's your take on remote, not remote work?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really great question. So I think that my stance completely changed. I think it really worked well for Snap. We had offices, like I think over 20 major offices. So it was in LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Salt Lake City, New York, Texas, London, Kiev, I think Sydney in Australia, and so on. So like it was really distributed team, which was surprising for a company which has just 5,000 employees. And I think today, given that the pace is just so quick, it's very hard to be fully remote. It's very hard to keep everyone in sync. Because I mean, part of the bets of Higgsfield is that we are, in terms of the model implementation into the workflows, Higgsfield is going to be faster than anyone else, right? While Google and ByteDance, they will definitely benefit from having like a vertical stack. None of them is going to have like monopoly on the market. And we are betting that Higgsfield is simply the fastest company in the space. So whenever a new model comes out, we are piecing this into a workflow. Like the V0 of the workflow were those templates, which make those models really easy to use. And our VFX templates, but most importantly, camera effects, got a lot of adoption, especially for, let's say, e-commerce use case, so that someone can just upload one photo and transform it into a video showing the products. I think this drove a lot of engagement in like V0 stage of the company, and now we're progressing to V1, where we enable to make like the final, where we enable the teams to collaborate with each other, but also making like actual video, which can be posted on social media and then measured on social media. We have these workflows obviously internally today, and the goal is just to wrap it in a nicely looking product, not just a bunch of like these lovable coded internal prototypes, right? But really built on top of tools like NA10, but to a real product which is ready for like adoption at the scale of like millions or tens of millions of users.
It's really cool. So you mentioned Lovable and NA10 for like internal prototypes. How big is your engineering team, and how much, the split is between vibe coding and actual coding?
I think the engineering team, 90% of them, they do the real coding. So I think the most popular tool today is Cloud Code, to be honest. I think the engineering team is total 30 people. And maybe 28 of them do like real coding. Yeah, and there are maybe 1-2 people doing like prototypes and integrations and some internal automation.
That's really cool. How do you split them like between, how big is the like a team? Because I know Meta and Snap, they had like 7-8 people teams per like feature that would deploy a feature and test it. Perplexity now has 3 people teams. Where do you gravitate?
We definitely lean towards the best practices, like Perplexity. So thinking about the teams of 3-4 people.
All technical or like?
I think design is just very important for us. But our designers, they're not just like thinking in terms of the pixels, but in terms of like frameworks and components. So the designers are rather technical in terms of like they understand how like the primitives and the architecture of our front ends. So yeah, and we are basically rethinking this concept of forward deploy engineers.
I'm hearing this more and more from founders of top AI startups. Everybody wants engineers that understand how, architecture works, that have great taste so they can design, like vibe design, and with founder mindset so they can take agency and understand growth. So this very high bar.
Yeah, I think the same applies to us. I think we're a little less skewed towards the design because we have amazing design team, so we can trust them that they are going to produce something which is great. I think what's important for developers is to understand the usability patterns, so they don't need like much explanation beyond the mocks. And what becomes very important is as we operate at like meaningful scale, so like we talk about millions of users, then it becomes important for engineers to understand input and output metrics to make sure we deliver performant experience, which is critical for video-heavy workflows.
You also appear to be a very successful angel investor and, LP in our fund. Thank you for, being a part of this. How did you start investing as an angel? Because, your list is truly impressive. It's AngelList, Brex, Solve Intelligence, both early stage, late stage.
I think most of the successful angel investors, they are actually very active in early stage and they can spot great companies. I think you have great traction. I think someone else who comes to mind is Elliot Gill and so on. And I think I'm not even remotely close. I think I just had some access to, and like Anthropic at 2 billion, it's a steal. Yeah. Like Scale AI with all the government contracts at like 1 billion is a steal as well. So I think I just saw those opportunities quite early. I think Brex adoption across the startups was absolutely crazy. And I think for Solve Intelligence, I saw that they sign big customers very quickly. And so all these decisions are data driven. Although successful angel investors, they typically make a decision based on the founding team, quality, and their vision about the future. And I'm definitely not good at that. I think I used to make my investment decisions based on the actual traction and this data. I think this worked well. Although since I started Higgsfield, I'm definitely not active. I invest in friends' companies maybe once a quarter and help them with fundraise. But that's it. I'm not active anymore.
It's very hard to get enough time when you're running your own startup.
Lots of people talk about the time, but I think it's important to, for every startup, I think it's important to do the right prioritization and then taking action on the most important things. And it takes a lot of mental capacity because we all have a little bit of the confirmation, reaffirmation bias where we tend to prioritize things which were important for us in the past or prioritize things where we kind of maybe had like some immediate failure and you think, oh, we must figure this out, right? So there is a lot of these emotional components, and I think just really trying to apply fast and slow thinking to like making sure that the prioritization across the company is right. I think this takes just all the brain capacity, which I personally have.
So this is not about time, this is about attention. Beautifully said.
Yeah, it's about attention, but really also making sure, as I'm quite active person and I strive for like daily progress on the most important things. Sometimes like it just creates a notion of like, because it creates a little bit of a different effect where we start to prioritize things where we spend more time. While it must be different. We need to identify the important things and spend time, but not making sure that whatever heavy process kind of got created in the company takes even more and more resources over the time. I think just making sure that we can apply like this kind of maybe like as we reprioritize and learn every day, and that's the question which I ask everyone, like what did we learn today to be successful? It's important to collect these data points, but also do this holistic revision every weekend as well.
That's I think the problem with angel investment. Angel investment has very long dopamine loop, so you can make a decision and the result will be only in 10 years. And you
need to be patient, yes.
Yeah, dopamine does not survive that long.
Yeah, and you cannot like truly see if it was successful or not before that.
This was truly inspiring. Thank you so much.
Let's do the takeaways. What did you learn?
Well, I learned, first of all, the way Alex phrased it was beautiful, that a lot of time things that are created in companies just tend to have momentum of their own and attract more and more resources just because people spend time and start believing, rationalizing that it's important if they're spending so much time on that. About investors thinking that they follow trends and they like see competition where there's no competition.
And customer feedback loop is more important than like overall trends.
I really liked the way you built your, and I feel like it's cheating because building a product for your own use is probably the best way to build products, because they always say talk to your customers, but if you are your own customer, that's even easier. Don't even have to talk. Definitely the way to go for introverts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we made sure that the creative team and data annotation team all have marketing backgrounds. They worked on some commercials, either like TV commercials or social media commercials, but like we definitely made sure that we have this close internal feedback loop.
Probably the last question. What's your strategy to be more like TikTok in terms of like the station when they are prepared infrastructure for the things happening for the future compared to Snap? What you have to do right now in your company to be prepared?
Yeah, I think like the quality of our infrastructure team is way, I cannot compare against like OpenAI or Meta, right? So at TikTok, because I didn't work in these companies, but definitely better than what I've seen in Snapchat. So I think the quality, we definitely invest a lot in infrastructure as we operate at like meaningful scale in terms of the GPUs as well. And we are constantly working with leading companies in the space like Nobus to make sure that we are up to date with the trends, and we leverage the like infrastructure stack built by these cloud companies as well.
Thank you.
Can you one thing that Marina usually asks, but like
any advice for?
Yeah, any advice for a book?
Oh, okay. Yeah, two questions. Any advice for founders, for first-time entrepreneurs? And yes, any suggestions what to read? Maybe not particularly a book, maybe to something to listen to, like for your favorite podcasts, your favorite books.
Yeah, I think the most important book for me was Charles Ferguson book, right? The partner at DVC.
The Inside Job?
Yes. So I think, just long story short is, we all hear about the success stories. Each startup goes through many downturns, and all decisions related to money are not typically taken lightly by some of the party. I'm not sure there is any other book, except Charles' book, which really goes through the complexity of building a company. As we all understand high level that different investors have different priorities depending on the size of the funds, maturity of the funds, returns of the funds. I think this high level concept is well known in the Valley, and there are a lot of stories which people tell each other during the dinners. At the same time, I think in terms of the book, I think Charles did a great job trying to outline some of the complexity.
That is a really good recommendation. Thank you. And also incredibly privileged to work with Charles. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing stuff. I'm glad we caught you before your revenue hit $1 billion. That would be like our podcast would need to grow a little bit more to earn your attention. But I mean, like with this kind of growth, you'll be there very, very soon.
Doing our best, and thank you for your support.
Thank you very much.
You were obviously DVC is the first funds who invested in Higgsfield, and you supported us through each stage of the journey. We're very grateful for that.
We're running out of money at this point.
Yeah, that was this moment as well. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.